Tim Petrowich for Dateline Marion and WGGH Radio. We're here with Marion head football coach Jason Dunning, and this is titled the preview for the Mount Vernon game, which is coming up next week. But as we always do, we go back and talk about last week's game. And last Friday was a fun game to talk about. Wildcats win 63-12 over Granite City. And I think, I want to start with what we talked about last week, and that was we knew Granite City was going to be down. We knew they had some talent, and they showed that. They had some athletes, and they showed that. But the whole strategy was get a big lead, make them roll over, kind of, and you scored on your first offensive play, and I think that kind of set the tone. A three and out, they punt. You score on your first offensive play. That kind of set the tone for the whole night.
Yeah, that kind of sets the tone. And the kind of the main focus all week, and I thought Coach Benoit did a great job hitting it early in the week, is playing to the standard. We know how certain plays should be ran. We know the execution level that's to be expected. And it's play to that standard. Don't play to your opponent. Don't play looking for the outcome, but just do your job on every play to the best of your ability and play to the standard of the play, the execution, and really happy about how things went. We got out there healthy, and you're right. You watch them on film and you see them in pregame, and they look the part. They passed the bus test. Running backs had big thighs. Linebackers were moving around, and then all of a sudden the game starts, and it's like, okay, there's a reason why we are who we are. There's a reason why we played at a certain level that we played to, and the reason why we have success, and there's a reason why they struggle. And I thought, defensively we played really fast, tried to get the ball back to them. There were a couple of times that we ran some blitzes that they had no clue, and I think our kids were prepared. They kept hearing the message and the same message all week. And you're right, we came out and a lot of guys scored, and we scored in unique ways. And one of the things, Tim, that I think fans will start to see as we go through is we started something, and Coach Martin was never big on team stickers on the helmet. And because you start to individualize things, and we sit down as a staff in the off season, and a couple of the players really hit on the fact that they wanted to do stickers for their helmets. So we changed the look a little bit. We did an M on one side. We have a stripe going down the middle, but then the other side are for team success. And they get stickers, and they know the criteria. We have it placed up in the locker room, and you can earn stickers for things that the team does successfully. Not individually, players, Cal can throw and Sam can catch, but it's the overall success of the team. And offense gets them for explosive plays, for yardage, and it's everybody that plays because we use that next man up mentality, and that was in our the pregame message. Because that, hey, these guys are starting the game, but the moment they're out and someone else is in, that kid that just came in is now a starter, and they earn those stickers and get to be a part. And, we even get stickers for defensive scores, and I know you and I are going to argue about how this goes down, but I credited the defense with 2 scores, because we don't punt return is not any. We don't sub to it. It's not a special thing. And the second one, as a matter of fact, they tried to run a fake, and we blew it up, and the ball came out, and the kids scrambled for it and scored. But the first one's kind of funny to watch on film that, Malachi comes off the edge and goes Superman mode, jumps in the air, he gets the block, the ball goes straight up in the air, and there were about 3 Wildcats that could have caught it. Blake ended up catching it, and normally when we score a touchdown, there's a big reaction, but there was some confusion because they really didn't know if he had scored or what the result was. Hey, we blocked the punt, we caught it in the end zone, and then all of a sudden Blake looks at the referee and sees him signal touchdown, and then he kind of puts his arms up in the air like, yeah. But no, I think the success of the team and the kids are all over it because they came over and going, hey, we got stickers for this. I said, yeah, we got a bunch of stickers this week, and I had to call Tyler Young here in town and go, hey, we just went through 200 stickers. I said, we need more little Wildcat paw prints, but it's fun to see that the kids, because I think each group is motivated differently. This group is motivated on team success. I love the fact that they are so unselfish towards each other that guys are blocking downfield so that another kid can score. Max almost gets a punt return for a touchdown, but what ends up Junie's trying to get out ahead and block for him, and they get their feet tripped up. But no, I think back to your point. Yeah, we went out, we clicked on all cylinders and every aspect of the ball game, and we jumped out and had a big enjoyable fun night.
I want to start with the defense this time, and I was going through some things as I wrote the story for Dateline Marion this week. Uh, you take away two big plays that Granite City had. One was a 71-yard pass play.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of a broken play. The quarterback kind of scrambled out, was being chased, found a guy who, kind of weaved his way through and got into the clear. Didn't score. You guys chased him down, but it led to their first touchdown. Then the second one was a 61-yard run late in the game. Um, you take those plays away, those two plays away, and Granite City nets -1 yard for the whole game. I mean, and the first two drives were 3 and out and a punt. The next one was two plays, an interception on the second play, or a fumble recovery on the second play. The next one was an interception on the second play. So the first few minutes or the first quarter or so of the game, uh, the defense was just completely locked down on Granite City.
We played really fast. Anytime you play at 7A school, they're gonna have dudes, they're gonna have athletes, and that was my fear. Was that we would overrun plays or we would give them angles and their athleticism would take over, and we kept their athleticism in check until late. And then, I'm a big proponent on once you have the game in hand, let other kids play. One, they're the future of your program. Two, someone's got to prepare these guys. And our scout team, we pride ourselves on the scout team doing such a good job to get the defense ready to go. And that's why when we have team meal on Thursday night, the scout team guys eat first. Because without them getting us ready, the defense isn't ready to go. And I thought our scout team guys all week gave us a great look. Um, and Granite City came out and we just played fast. We played fast scheme wise. Um, we've tried to simplify our um, our defense on what we can do and what we can handle, mentally scheme wise. And yeah, and they came out and we got we got Granite City behind the sticks a little bit. And I thought we were going to get a couple safeties because we had them down there close to the goal line twice. One of them turned into the block punt that we recovered, but I'm happy, and I think that gives them confidence going in. Now we start the Mount Vernon preparation, and starting this conference run, and they've got to play. Mount Vernon's kind of um, very athletic, very explosive on what they do, and they're sound on scheme wise. And we have to play fast. We have to tackle well. We have to execute, communicate, and have another big night defensively.
When you shut down the run game like you did, and they had the one play. In fact, at halftime, Granite City had -16 yards rushing. Um, then you can load up on the quarterback. And during the course of the game, 4 sacks by 5 different players. You had individual sacks by Alex Henry, Quintarius Townsend. Um, late in the game, Weston Rudd got a sack. And you had one that was Caden Jacobs and Evan Francis together. And I watched the film, and when I'm watching it live, Caden's right there, and Evan's visually blocked from up here in the booth by another guy, but Evan actually made first contact, but they both wrapped him up. So 4 quarterback sacks, 2 other negative plays, and then plus you talk about the fake punt where you blew that one
Mm-hmm.
up too. So
And I think also, there were times that we were able to get, we weren't quite there to get the sack, but I think the first interception to Blake, we're all over the quarterback, and he doesn't have any room to step up and you know, get everything mechanically into the throw and really step into the pocket because the pocket just collapsed because we had pressure. And then late, Austin Moore, sophomore kid at linebacker, gets a big
yeah,
interception, and we brought pressure, dialed something up, and brought Weston right in his face, and he doesn't have any place to go. And it's like, okay, but credit to their kid, he hung in there. You're right. Alex had a huge sack there on the goal line that led to almost the first safety, and we were able to get some pressure on him. And sometimes those pressure leads to throws that aren't quite where the quarterback intended them to go, but we're athletic in the secondary. Um, I don't know if we'll get to where it's funny. My son, who's been around the game, he was talking about it. And the year we went to the quarterfinals, our turnover ratio was so high,
yeah.
and I constantly tell the defense, our job is to get those guys, get the offensive guys, the ball back, however we can get it back. Because I know this, uh, Coach Benoit, Coach Ski, Coach Brown, those guys on offense do a tremendous job. And when you talk about getting Callahan potentially 3, 4, 5 extra possessions with the weapons of Sam and Junius and Blake and all the guys, Hoffman and Andre, um, on offense, the potential of firepower is really, really high. If we can steal extra possessions defensively, it just makes scoring, the odds are in our favor so much.
Well, and here's the other thing too. You talk about the Austin Moore interception. Here's a situation where you're late in the game and you've got your second unit in there,
Mm-hmm.
and they're still making plays, and that's just developing to keep that defense not only to say stronger for next year and the year after, but that builds into your
Mm-hmm.
next man up mentality. Where if you lose
100%.
someone this year, you've got someone who's been in there and making plays.
Correct. And we always try to get those next guys up as many reps under the Friday night lights as you can because it's something you can't simulate. I mean, we can practice here at night, but it's not the same as having the fans there and just watching them make plays. And not only does it give us confidence in them, it also lets everybody know too that we're playing. Going, dang, they got more kids coming. That they're thinking, okay, Marion's graduating this big group, and we lose Alex Henry, and we lose Sam Atkins and Malachi and Callahan and Junius and Q and all these guys. But you know what? They've got more players coming through the program, and so that's a positive thing that we really look forward to. And I love watching the younger kids and the backups because they work so hard throughout the week, and it's a once the season starts, it becomes a grind. And we tell the kids and the parents, hey, put that seatbelt on because this thing's going to roll really fast. And here we are talking about game 3 already. And it's like, all right, kid, okay, here we go.
I want to talk about the offense. It seems like it's taken, and I don't even want to say it's taken that long, but Friday night, Cal was about as close to perfect as you could be. 18 for 20, school record for completion percentage in a game,
Saw that.
256 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. Your QB rating on a game like that is through the roof. But I think more than that, the passes to Sam for the 3 touchdowns. The one on the first play, you hit him in stride. He had beat the defense. You hit him in stride. The other long one, the 36-yarder in the second quarter, that was one where Cal threw it to a spot saying, "Go, Sam, go get it."
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden, Sam goes and gets it, and it's just like that. And then the one where he threw the jump ball in the back of the end zone too. I mean, all those, it's like they're now almost completely 100% in sync.
And see, and it's amazing. Sam has developed. I think last year you saw glimpses. He got injured in the week 0 game against Carterville. He didn't play against Heron. He came out and was very limited against Granite City, but then kind of started getting into it. And then, dang it, we're playing Centralia, and he does it again. But then comes back, and he had a huge game last year against Carbondale, had a huge game against Mattoon, even had a big game, 200 plus yards against Highland in the playoff game. It's like you knew he was going to be good, and you know he just has a knack, and he's so athletic. He's a basketball kid, 6'3", 6'4". Cal knows where to find him, and that's why I was not surprised. Going, hey, give our kid a shot, and we work on scramble drill. Cal got out of the pocket. You see Sam start to run his route, and then Cal scrambles, and he just does what Sam knows how to do and what we practice, and that's finding those open spaces. And Cal, give our kids a shot. Give it, throw it to a spot where only Sam can get it, and Sam can elevate. He's got that vertical window that a lot of kids don't have, and Cal puts it up there, and he goes and gets it. And, but the thing I also like too, Tim, is the fact that we're so complementary to each other. That okay, Sam right now is getting some great opportunities because teams are worried about Alex and they're worried about juniors. Going, okay, we may come in this week and Mount Vernon may say, hey, we're going to take away this, this, and this. Okay. Well, we still have Hoffman. We've still got Malachi. We've still got other receivers that we can get the ball to. But, Sam is becoming an absolute weapon. And the fact that he, day in, day out, is the top 1, 2, 3 speed guy. So he can run. And the first touchdown, yeah, it was in stride. He just ran right by the he ran right by Granite City's receiver, and Cal missed him on another big post route where he just ran right by the coverage. And I think one of the favorite plays of him last year, he catches an easy slant route against Mattoon and just splits guys. He splits the corner safety and just takes off for a touchdown. But Sam's athletic. Cal can throw the ball. He's becoming very dynamic in what he does, and he sees the field so well with the weapons. And I think my job's going to continue on defense. Find ways to let those guys do what they do. Let Cal manage this offense with Hoffman and Atkins and Junius and Henry and all those other guys. And then one guy that we haven't even talked about yet, Marcus Hazel,
Yeah.
has a huge touchdown run, and he's a kid that that's a track kid, and I think of all the plays Friday night, I think that may have been maybe my favorite. Sam's outstanding catch when he mossed the kid, and Junior's running back the second half kickoff. I've seen that, but waiting for Marcus to pop one, and sure enough, he did. And
when you talked about splitting guys, and he got that ball past the first line, and there were some defensive backs or maybe some linebackers that had a shot at him, and he just blew right through the middle of them before they could get there.
Yes, and I love the fact, and Skeet's offensive line is getting better. Okay, play by play, literally series by series, getting better, and you got all these weapons that we can throw the ball vertically, we can throw the ball horizontally, we get it out in space, but then you get Marcus busting one and going, okay, you better still have the numbers in the box to take care of the run game, because if you don't, Marcus is quick enough that he can take that to the house. And watching him do that and seeing the smile on his face afterwards, and that those are the little things within the game that make coaching fun.
Well, and then you get a situation where once he gets through that first line, you go back to what we talked about earlier, and what I talked to you about after Friday night. You've got those receivers all downfield running whatever routes they're running. Now they're finding people to block, because
Yes.
that's what they have done so well this year. And so you get him in space, and now you've got guys blocking for him too, which a lot of times you don't see when a running back breaks through the line.
Mm-hmm. And I think Coach Benoit does a great job of teaching and talking to our guys, and we pointed out on film that those are what we call touchdown blocks. Because if you're not doing your job there, yeah, Marcus gets through and gets past the backers, but guys have angles and they catch them. But now you got guys blocking for each other, and Coach Benoit's hard on those receivers that, if you don't block, you don't play. And you see guys, Hoffman catches a little fast screen out there, and he's got Sam and Blake out there blocking for him. Or Junius gets it, and Sam's drive blocking. Junius almost scores um, early, I think, on the second series. And Sam's down there driving his guy out of bounds, and Blake's got the safety cut off, and Junius takes it and almost splits it because those guys are doing. And that's the prideful part that those guys care about each other and love watching them. And we point that out just as much as a touchdown play. We point out, hey, here's guys blocking downfield, and young receivers coming up see that, they hear that, they watch it and go, okay, that's playing to that standard that we talked about at the beginning. And this is what you do: you block and you block. If you want the ball, you want play calls, go out there and block. And the guys do that so unselfishly for each other.
Well, and I think this is something that you strive to achieve for. And when you hear about the Sacred Heart Griffins, that was the one thing that impressed me when we played them a few years ago in the playoffs was their guys blocking downfield. And so now
Yeah.
you're seeing that, you're teaching that, and now the kids are buying into it.
And we just put an emphasis on it. And it's like, we constantly tell them we're going to stay committed as a staff, coaching the little thing. And those are things that are easy to overlook. It's like, no, that is going to come back. And anytime we pride ourselves, anytime we get validation on film of why we do things in practice, I think good staffs, good coaches point that out. And just like there's a play where Caden Jacobs and Alex Henry both get their big their big balls up and bat down passes. Well, that's something that they just don't do instinctively, but it's something that's coached. And so whether it's a good downfield block, if it's a tackling drill, anytime that we can find evidence on film, those are some of the best clips. Or it's Cal, rather than forcing a throw because he thinks he can fit it in that window, and learning from the Carterville loss of going, hey, here's an opportunity. It's second down. We're ahead of the sticks. Throw it away. And you saw Cal a couple times. Yeah, he only had two incompletions. I think the two incompletions were both intentional throwaways, and Coach Benoit pulled that play up and going, hey, this is a good play. It wasn't a completion. It doesn't go down as a stat. It's not a positive result. But you saw nothing was there. Rather than force it, okay, boom, we'll take a sack. We throw it away. We play another play, and we come back and score a couple plays later that drive.
Real quick, I want to touch on this before we turn to Mount Vernon.
Okay.
I don't know if you knew that your team blocked 3 kicks uh, Friday night, and I went back and watched the film. 2 of them I think you knew about. The third one I didn't realize until we watched the film on that too. But Malachi got the block punt.
Mm-hmm.
Then both of their extra points were actually blocked. The first one, the first one got blocked at the line. Alex got that one. The second one, and if the numbers were right, because it was the Army uniforms, you see the ball go up and it changes directions, and Marley Benavi got a blocked extra point
Good bit of me.
on the second extra point, and
Oh.
he didn't. I couldn't tell that until I went back and watched the film.
No, I didn't. Coach Schulmeister may have that one, but I did not even. That's awesome. Yeah, I mean that's something. Another stat, another uh, broken record. Cool.
There you
Yeah.
go. All right. So what were you thinking when you got home and you're checking scores and you find out Mount Vernon 52, Carbondale 51?
Well, hey, and here's how that game went late, because afterwards, got home and all of a sudden my son comes in and goes, Dad, listen to the score. And I'm like, what? Number one, they're still playing. Number two, and the crazy thing is we're watching the film and we don't see the last touchdown. We don't see the last 3 minutes of the game because now all these schools have huddle
And they're on a timer.
and they're on a timer, and so it shuts off. So we don't even see the drive, but we tuned in and we listened to the last part of the game, and and it's a score, and you're going, what in the world? And then you're sitting there watching it, and it's you know big play, big play, big play, and I think, don't quote me on this, but I think it's going into the fourth quarter. It's like 28-21 or 35-28. It's something fairly, and then you're like, okay, now we have to watch it because I got to see how they score these points and what happens within it. But you know, Mount Vernon's got some dudes. Mount Vernon's got some explosive kid. The Nettles kid, Nesbitt, which I thought Nesbitt's going to haunt me for my coaching career because
there's always another
yeah,
one.
there's always another one coming up, and and Dan and his staff are going to they always do a tremendous job. Just like you know, 2 years ago when we played, they lost their first quarterback, they lost their second quarterback, they lost their third quarterback, and it's like, okay, what are they going to do? And they went back. Dan went back in the archives and found an offense from like the early 1900s. I think it was Yale, where somebody ran it, where really they just put their best kid in kind of a wildcat formation. It was student body right, student body left, and they kept us. And that game was the last 2 years it's come down to the last drive of the ball game. I think last year it's in the rain. Um, it's funny. My daughter says of all the football games that she's been a part of, that may be her favorite game of last year when the cheerleaders are cheering and it's raining and we're back and forth having a ball game, and then Aiden Pickles picks off their quarterback to kind of seal it, and we had just scored, and that was kind of the nail in the coffin, so to say. But the 2 years ago, it came down to literally the last series. They had the ball, and could we get a stop on Nesbitt back there? And
I think there was a bad snap that didn't allow them
that didn't
make
allow
the play.
him to come. And I think one, he started getting a little bit tired, and two, they were just mashing us at the point of attack that finally guessing right and sent a kid off the backside because they always thought, hey, he's fast enough to catch the ball and get forward that we don't have to worry about blocking the backside. But then a little bit of a miscue on the snap and a good call, and we came off the edge and got it, won it late, time expiring kind of situation. But Mount Vernon is explosive. They've got dudes, like I said, from Nesbitt to Nettles to quarterback kid that can run. They've got some guys that questionable. One of their players played against Waterloo, did not play against Carbondale. He had a couple of big runs against Waterloo. It's like, okay, uh, you know, what can they do? And in the Carbondale, it's big play, big play, big play, big play. And, they're going to control the clock, and Dan and Paul and the rest of his staff are very, very good at Steve McCoy calling the offense, good at setting stuff up, and you better be sound and disciplined, and you better be physical because Mount Vernon every year is going to come in and give us their A game, and Wildcats have to be ready to go.
Talk about their offensive line because that's one of the things. No matter who they got in the backfield, they're always strong up front and always do a good job of blocking.
And credit Paul and Dan and those guys up front. They do a nice job. They move their linemen around. Um, they're going to do some things that are going to give us. And it's one of those things that defending Marion is hard because you've got to be able to recreate that for your kids to give them some confidence. And what we do is not what most teams do. But on the flip side of that, what Mount Vernon is good at, that's not what we do well. And so trying to give our kids a look of what they're going to run, plus knowing that they've got some X factors there that, you know, you're not showing everything week one, week two. You know, you got some stuff in your back pocket that you save for certain teams, and you know, it's hard to simulate what Mount Vernon does because if we were that good at simulating it, we'd probably do a lot of what they do. But no, I think they're going to have a scheme for us that's going to give us fits, and it's going to be how quickly can we adjust and adapt to that scheme. Because once again, get our guys the ball back, let them try to defend all the stuff that we can do offensively. And if we can steal a couple of possessions, I will be ecstatic to give our guys some more opportunities to score points.
You probably got to feel pretty confident in the ability to score points, considering
Yeah.
they gave up 28, I think, against Waterloo, 51 last week against Carbondale. So teams are scoring on them,
Mm-hmm.
and so does a high scoring game favor the Wildcats?
Oh, it may favor us, but it's going to stress this head coach out. I don't want to be reliant and I mean our guys love to score. I know Coach Benoit loved the fourth quarter at Carterville, dialing stuff up and scheming and scoring. But no, I think they're going to be athletic. They're going to make plays. Sometimes their ability to be a little unorthodox makes it hard because you like to know what teams are going to be in and what they're going to do, and I think that's the X factor that makes Mount Vernon challenging is they're athletic enough to be a little unsound and still make plays. You know, they've had some guys over the years, Chicken Stuckey and Dontrell Black and Jake Sledge and, you know, Coach Martin's youngest nephew that was just tremendous on defense. And there'd be times you're expecting them to be in certain places and they're not, but they're still able to make plays. And that's what becomes kind of frustrating in what they do is they move guys around so much, and it's going to be okay. Can we be strong enough at the point of attack? Can we block them as they start to bring pressure, and still be able to execute? And I love our odds. I love our game plan going in, but I think it's been that way the last 2 years. Throw all the stuff out, throw all the paper and schemes out, and I think it's going to be a great game, a great night for the fans to see a big, you know, good old South 7 rivalry showdown. And like I said, the last 2 years, we thought going in that we had the advantage. I mean, it's been a down to the wire 48-minute fist fight. And I know Mount Vernon wants to make it, I like to use the analogy of fist fight in a phone booth. They don't want to play all that space game. They want to make it right here and make it physical, and we've got to try to match their uh, their physicality.
And
Come ready to play.
I think what their game last Friday did was showed when you look at Marion, Mount Vernon, Centralia, Cahokia, Carbondale, it's going to be a fist fight every time you go out there.
Every time, and it is so much fun because those are the games that the kids remember. And over the last few years, whether it's football, basketball, baseball, even it's a big game within the South Seven, and everybody is kind of right there together. No one, I wouldn't say anybody is the absolute favorite or has the advantage because everybody's got dudes, everybody's got athletes, everybody's got linemen, and every week for the next about 6 weeks, it's going to be a battle, and both teams have to come with their A games, and I think Friday night showed that even though they got away from what Mount Vernon wants to do, they can still put up points. They still can be a nuisance on what they do schematically, and you got to be ready to play for 48 minutes.
Um, Unlike the last 2 years, I think going into week three, the Wildcats are pretty healthy.
We are. Knock
Yeah.
on wood and all that other stuff. Yeah, I think we got out of Friday night, and And I know it's a good sign when during all the post game festivities and interviews and talking and seeing all the people on the field, um, seeing the trainer come by and not have to engage in conversation. He just kind of gives the, hey, we're okay. I got no injury. Awesome. That means we get out of there. And normally you talk about a big, going into big South 7 games, there's going to be some bumps, some bruises. It's going to be a physical game. And hopefully you and I are talking afterwards and we're discussing the same thing. Hey, how are the injuries? We don't have any. We're good. We're good. I think the heat's going to be a little bit different, and we're already talking to our kids, preparing for, the humidity to be up and hydrate. Um, you know, because as Coach Benoit always says, the best ability a kid has is his availability. And if we're out because of cramps or injury or whatever the situation is, you can't play. And if you can't play, you can't really help us in that situation. And I love going in with all guns available that we can, all weapons, and use that to our advantage to go score points and stop people.
All right, it's Friday night, South 7 Conference opener at Wildcat Stadium. No excuse to not be there.
Tailgate, 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 tailgate.
Tailgate at 5.
Yep.
Football game at 7. It'll be on WGGH and on the Huddle camera.
Yep.
We got that worked out. And
Awesome.
so appreciate your time. And that's Marion head football coach Jason Dunning for Dateline Marion and WGGH Radio. I'm Tim Petrowich.